This year's EVO was great for Street Fighter fans. Not only is Terry getting in 6th, but we also got another fantastic clip out of Third Strike.
He goes for the universal overhead, then backs away, dashes up in danger! Oh my god, no! Okay! Oh my god!
And the grand finals was incredibly tense and fun to watch. It went down to the wire, man.
Okay, that's the final. Here it is, Chad. Here it is. Final round. It's happening. He's doing it. He's doing it. Just relax.
Watch the parry.
Okay, okay. Pull it down. Big one standing. Get him on the side. Watch the final. He got it. Just jump in. Is he going to cash out?
One more hit.
He didn't cash out. He didn't cash out.
All this has reawoken my mild interest in fighting games, so I decided to review the grandfather of all fighting games, where it all started, Street Fighter 2. Yeah, 2. That's where it started. I don't know why they called the very first game Street Fighter 2, but they did. Kinda crazy, huh? Alright, I felt a little guilty about the skipping over the first game, so here we are. Street Fighter 2 will just have to wait for another day. Get in line, bucko. We have a backlog now. The first Street Fighter had 2 different arcade cabinets. The first one having these large kick and punch buttons that you would have to punch to get Ryu to do punches and kicks. And the standard 6 button that you press version, like a normal person. Now, I'm very obviously not playing this off an arcade cabinet, so I don't have to worry about any of that. I'm playing this off the Capcom Arcade Second Stadium, which has a bunch of these old Capcom arcade games for very cheap. Now, like I mentioned in my BT3 review, I never really got into fighting games growing up. I think the only fighting game that I ever actually played at an arcade was MK1. No, not that one. I bring this up just to note that if there are some changes made to these games in this app, I will have no idea about them. So if this just happens to be the worst way to play these games, let me know in the comments down below. This game being on the app does allow me to do cool stuff like make it look like I'm playing at the arcade, which isn't really relevant to the other thing I was saying, but I would just want to mention that. Also, I didn't feel like setting up the camera, so we have this funky little thingamaboober going on. Should I do this instead of setting up the camera? No, I'm not going to do that. This is a one-time thing, maybe. Now, potential changes to this game aren't going to matter much when it comes to FS1 because ooh, this game is janky. So you start off picking either the USA or Japan. At first I thought this was a choice between either Ryu or Ken, but no, you only get Ryu. Ryu. I heard someone call him Rue once. Rue. The only way to play as Ken is if you beat player 1 in a 1v1. At that point, Ryu will wish you good luck and you play the game normally. You know, classic arcade stuff. Ken and Ryu play the exact same from what I can tell, which makes sense. They're just mirrors of each other. All the other characters in the game are actually just for the single player, which isn't the biggest of losses since these guys are pretty bland. The only ones that come to mind are the ninja Geki because of his ability to disappear and throw ninja stars, Adon, I don't know how to say this guy's name, because of his kicks and jumps being hard to avoid, and Sagat because he's the final battle and he is not fair. Every character is from a specific country and they're visually represented pretty well, but gameplay wise there isn't that much to set them apart. Joe is Joe. Mike is totally not supposed to be Mike Bison, which is clearly just Mike Tyson. Ritsu, why can't I say any of these names? Japan is funky. Japan is kind of funky though. This guy is just Japanese Joe. Birdie does seem to do these overhead attacks quite a bit and he can close the distance really quickly, which is notable. Eagle reminds me of a character from a Bond film, which, you know, I mean, he's English, so it makes sense. He also has this move, which is basically his version of a Tatsu. Lee has some very fast movements, which looks kind of silly. Jen, or is it Jean? No, it's probably Gen, right? Like Ken, but with a G? I don't know, he didn't even hit me once the first round I fought him. Or the second round. Yeah, I probably just got very, very lucky, but yeah. RIP Gen. Like I mentioned, Adon is very difficult. He is the second to last fight, so it makes sense, but it really does feel like he's that hard just to milk quarters out of people. In case you somehow forgot or never got to go to an arcade, this game comes from a time where games were made very hard on purpose to get you to put more money into the machine to win. As long as you keep putting in quarters after a game over, you can just keep playing. The only thing that you lose when gaming over is your score, which might have mattered back in the day, but now, who cares about SF1 scores? Is that really, like, there's nothing to brag about there, you know? I mean, here's mine. Yeah, I bet it's bigger than yours. In between battles, you can sometimes get these mini games, which have you breaking boards with punches and kicks, or timing your hit correctly in order to break this stack of bricks. These are just for extra points. They are kind of cool, but I mean, it's just for extra points. So before we get into the monster that is Sagat, let's actually talk about the mechanics of the game, which, ooh boy. So you have 3 punches and 3 kicks, 6 buttons in total, which are light, medium, and heavy kicks and punches. Fastest attack in the game is the light punch, and it's actually pretty fun to spam. Yeah, it's oddly satisfying. Of course, it wouldn't be Street Fighter without special moves. All the ones that you probably know are here. The Shoryuken, the Tatsumaki Senpuyaku, and the Hadouken. The Hadouken. Ryu, do the move. Ryu, do the move. I'm doing the motion. I'm doing it. Come on. Come on, Ryu. There we go. Moves in this game are incredibly hard to pull off. They are the same inputs that they would later be in the series, but they just don't come out as easily. This means that you can repeatedly do the motion without any outcome. I'd say 1 in about 15 times you do it, you'll actually get the move. The Hadouken is useful as always and probably the easiest to do. The Tatsu can be useful, but only if your opponent is at the right distance, because this thing doesn't travel pretty much anywhere. You just kind of do it in place. It's also hard to do it when you're really close to the enemy though, because they like to interrupt you a lot with punching you in the face. I'm happy whenever I do the Shoryuken, even if it doesn't hit anything, because it seems to be the hardest one to do for some reason. When trying to do it, I often just get a Hadouken instead. As you can see from all this footage, this game is very janky like I mentioned before. Movement is stiff, punches feel delayed, the neutral jump, why? Forward jumping seems to work like it should, so why is this one just like a little, meh, like it's just that, it's just a little, meh. Why? Why? Also, your punches and kicks don't actually come out when you hit the button, they do so when you let go of the button. I don't know why it's like this. It's very strange. I don't know why they decided to make it work like that. Also, I've pressed heavy kick and gotten a punch out of it, and I have no idea why. The game has very little strategy involved. You can't get combos of any kind really unless you're like a master at this game, I guess. I'm sure there's somebody that can do it. There's almost no reason to do any other punch than the light punch. Heavy punches just take way too long to come out, so you're just most likely going to get interrupted when trying to do it. It does punch the enemy back quite a bit and does more damage, but it's just not that beneficial. It's also not as fun as just spamming that light punch like I mentioned earlier. You kind of just want to throw punches and kicks out and see what happens. You block by holding back on the joystick when you're about to get hit by an attack, but blocking also doesn't seem that advantageous since later enemies come at you so fast that you can't really prevent them from hitting you. Even Joe, yeah, Joe can take you out if you aren't careful. And when they do, you get to hear this wonderful dialogue. Why does it sound like drunken Stallone? Even when you win, you get some pretty funky stuff out of it.
But don't forget there are many doors all over the world.
All over the world. Speaking of audio quality, what is this music, man? What are these sounds? You know what this is? This is called penis music. Even if you never heard the term, you know exactly what I'm talking about. graphically speaking, it's not a terrible looking game for 1987, I guess? I usually don't bring up graphics in my review, but I kind of have to when talking about the final battle against Sagat. What do they do to this man's legs? It's all upper leg. His knee is way too low, man. It's even more distracting when he lifts up his knee to like block, because then it looks normal. So what happened? Who proved this? Hell, who proved this whole fight? Sagat can beat you in under 5 seconds. His knee attack, his Tiger Blast thing, his ability to punch your Hadouken out of existence. It all screams hell. He does just way too much damage for me to even try to have some sort of strategy when fighting him. Which, yeah, is a problem with this game even up before this point, but Sagat brings it to a whole nother level. If this game wants you to spend more money, Sagat will just bum rush you with his freaking knee. It got to the point where I just did this. Just trying to get a Hadouken or Shoryuken out. There's no point in trying to hit him with normal punches and kicks. It got so bad that even if I lost just the first round, I would just reset by using the rewind function. And then once I won a round, I used it so I didn't have to win it again. The only reason why I actually used the rewind function is because, again, I was just going to be doing this repeatedly. So I was just saving myself time at the end of the day. The canonical ending has Ryu beating him with a Shoryuken, which I almost did, but not quite. After that, Sagat says that we are the strongest Street Fighter in the world, and the game alludes to us having to defend our title, though I'm pretty sure that's just an open invitation for somebody IRL to insert a quarter into the machine and battle you. Overall, this game is very primitive. That's a nice way of putting it. Very primitive. But there is some good within it. The idea is there. It just needs, I was going to say a little, but it actually needs a lot of work to get it to be good. Which is basically what the sequel did. It just reworked all of this stuff to make it good. But it's also what the Street Fighter 1 ROM hack attempted to do. It basically makes the gameplay more like the later games, which is very cool that somebody actually took the time to make something like this. It's commendable. Still though, this game is so janky and short that you could play the vanilla version and it wouldn't take that much of your time. But if you want to play like a good game, I'd just say stick with 2. Alright, thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Do you guys like this funky ass little thingamaboober I'm doing here at the end? I didn't feel like setting up the camera. I just didn't feel like it. Yeah, so we're doing this. Kind of funky, kind of crazy, kind of goofy. Shout out Angry Canadian. Yeah. I know I said Minecraft was gonna be the next review, but it's taken a while, guys. I got about an hour done. Yeah, there's still a lot to do. And I couldn't record any of the script for like 2 weeks. Well, I couldn't record it for 1 week. The other week I just was like, I don't feel like recording. But yeah, there was like a solid week where I just could not record at all. So but hopefully I get back into that recording every day, at least 30 minutes routine that I had been going on to get the freaking review done so we can get to fucking God of War 2. It's almost gonna be a year since the last review. That sucks. But anyways, no, we can finish Minecraft relatively soon. And then actually before God of War, we got Raging Blast to review because, you know, Sparking Zero is coming out soon. I need a topical review to come out so my channel doesn't wither and die. My peanut farm withered. I won't live no more. My peanut farm withered. My penis was tired. My peanut farm withered. I won't live no more. Street Fighter 2 review. If this review does, if we get at least 300 views in like the first 3 days, then maybe I'll do Street Fighter 2 like relatively soon. If not, then fuck you. If not, then I'll review like Tetris or something. I don't know.